Alright, let's get her rendered. Ooh, what's this coming about? Wow. She looks good. How's it going, everybody? It's Shaquille the Eagle here, and I am here to bring you yet another Project Valhalla devlog. This time, we are restarting the neck, head, face, and shoulders using actual sculpting tools rather than the hard surface modeling that we did before. If y'all like what I do, please, by all means, leave me a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. So let's go ahead and get into it. Wait a minute. Why am I restarting the entire model? Doesn't that make this video redundant? Well, no, and here's why. When I posted the last devlog, I almost immediately got some feedback on my Discord, which basically amounted to if I wanted the Jade to have no issues when I go to animate her, then I would need to do two things. 1. Sculpt a model rather than using the hard surface modeling I was using before. And 2. Add a retopology that I can change resolution on. Getting right into it, it was time to start forming the basics of the head. So I've never actually sculpted before, so I got to learn about the different brushes and how they work. And this also means I had to restart a few things a couple of times, so we'll go over all that as we go. Okay, for the head, all I needed was just the UV sphere and the grab brush. The grab brush was my best friend through the whole process because it let me make very fine adjustments as I needed on very specific parts of the model, and it was great. The steps didn't take super long at all. All I needed was basically her forehead, chin, and neck, and I was ready to move on. The next thing was I added a sphere, moved it into place, and repeated the same thing for her nose, but oh my, it was huge! It almost looked like a clown nose. Just bear in mind that this is for the basic shaping and not the fine detail. Now adding the neck was a bit more difficult as it was a large balancing act of aligning and fitting it to the drawing without protruding from her back. Eventually I just settled on a position and then decided to not worry about it until I was ready to do the fine details. But that wasn't even the hardest part. The next thing I had to do was the ears. I swear, I had to restart the ears about 3 or 4 times, and eventually I changed up the initial shape I used for them. But for now, I tried modeling around the cylinder to get the basic shape. Although, I did often switch back and forth between basic shaping and details just for the ears. You're really not supposed to do that. Okay, quick side note. Remeshing. Remember in the last vlog how I complained about the subdivision modifier slowing my PC down? Yeah, well, for one thing, during this entire process, I didn't need the modifier at all. And 2, with the super fine remesh, I was able to get immensely more detail and smoothness. Especially after I used the smooth tool to clear whatever was left from the original mesh. Okay, back to the normal video. Next, we have to do the eyes, and these were by far the easiest of the entire set. all we had to do was make 2 spheres the same size, rotate one by 90 degrees, cut out a hole in one of them for the eyelids, then add a modifier to thicken the eyelids up, mirror the two, then bada bing bada boom. But the eyes were so big this time. She reminded me of that googly-eyed hamster from that Adam Sandler movie. But after that, it was time to fill in the details for her nose and face. And here I learned some new tools to help. Mainly the draw tool, which basically just adds geometry to an area. So if you had a flat plane, for example, draw brush would give you a hill or a crater if you held the control key. Sculpting in general was a lot easier than modeling, but it's very intricate and there's a lot of adjusting that needs to be done. I found I constantly had to change the brush size and the strength of each brush just to get everything right. The lips were actually hard until a little bit later when I learned about a couple of more brushes. It was just difficult to get the size, shaping, and alignment right, and when I got finished they looked absolutely huge, just like everything else. I actually tried 3 different methods in order to get her lip shape. The first one was just modeling it off the pure face, and because I didn't know about the 2 tools, that was a little bit difficult to do. So at the time I figured, well, why don't I just make them different shapes? So the next thing I tried was to use cylinders, but when I tried to use the cylinders I figured out that they were actually a little bit too flat and I couldn't really form them right. So the last thing I tried was to use 2 spheres, and this is where the alignment, sizing, and everything else came in. In the end, when I learned about the tools, I decided to go back and just do the face, but I'll explain that bit in a moment. Alright, time for a remesh. Alright, we just need to go up here, put 0.0001, hit the remesh button, and oh no. No, don't tell me. Uh-oh. And just like that, disaster struck. When I tried to go and remesh the entire head, Blender ended up crashing on me. And the worst part was, I didn't save the file. So now I have to restart all of the work I did on the nose, eyes, ears, and neck. Luckily, this wasn't that bad of a loss because I ended up modeling everything much better. The nose is more cooperative, the shoulders and neck formed much easier, and I was able to reshape the ears, understanding where the points actually were and where they were supposed to go. Then it was off to what I was going to do before. It was then time to work on the fine detail and then group everything up. All of this was just small fine adjustments to get everything how I wanted, so for this, since it is a bit repetitive, I'm going to give you guys a sculpting compilation. Ta-da! She does look awesome in all honesty at this point, but she doesn't look anything like the drawing. And for me, this was super frustrating because I did all of this work to try to make her look like the drawing, and she doesn't. However, she does look really cool, so I'm gonna work with it. For the next step, I decided to color the material to get her basic look down. This was easy enough. Select the head, assign a tan color, and then select the faces in her eyes to change them to black and blue for the iris and pupil. In the end, she looked even better. Okay. Now this is the point where this devlog diverts from being just a devlog 1.2 to being an actual second devlog. We're gonna work on her hair. Now I had to restart either this whole thing or parts of it multiple times over, including one time where my computer got shut down in the middle of working again. So I'll give you guys an overview of the workflow on her. So what I wanted to do was give this Wonder Woman awesome dreadlocks, but making them was a challenge. I did look at a tutorial for stylized hair, but it wasn't made for dreads. It took a minute, but I did figure out how to make the tubes I needed. Once that was done, I wanted to set up the grid for the different sections of hair I wanted to do. In total, I did 4. The top of her head would have dreads going outwards and tied back by either a brass or a gold band. I haven't made the band yet, but I will eventually. The back, middle, and left side is just going to go down past her shoulders. The back right will be twisted over her shoulder, and the left side will be shifted towards the back. After the first bit that I lost, I realized that if I tried to model it with the first row of strands down, it was going to be tough to do the rest. So I decided to re-grid everything, then pull each row down. It was here I quickly realized this was going to take way too long, so I decided to restart again, but make the dreads bigger. This made things easier, but when I did the top, I realized it was too tall and there were too many overlaps. So I did the top over again. This time, I took small flat shapes and rotated the cylinders to match her head and redid the dreads. After a long while of doing that, this is what she looks like now. And after all that was done, we are done. Now, I will be readjusting the top of head dreads to get it all within the clip, like I said, but for real this time, we're going with the body next, after which we're gonna work on the retopology to make the animation easier. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and follow my Facebook and Instagram, and join my Discord server. Any support y'all give is always highly appreciated. Speaking of which, I am now up to 100 subscribers! I don't know what I'm going to do for it, but I'll figure it out. Thank you to everyone who's been around here since Punchball, and to everyone who's supporting Codename Project Valhalla. Y'all have a blessed day, and as always, don't forget your coffee.